This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello and welcome to another edition of C2C Rankem. I'm the host, Big B, along with my counterpart, my co-host, halfway around the world, the Prime Moose, Tim Hendricks. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good here on April Fool's Day. Nobody's pulled me a joke here, but I don't think it's an Italian thing, so I'm okay. I'm pretty excited. I'm usually the practical joker, but sometimes it's nice not having that pressure.
Well, I think the practical joke would be that our MLB teams would actually win a game.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I guess you're right on that.
But no, outside that, yeah, it is April Fool's Day. Happy birthday to my Uncle Pete, whose birthday is today. So, that's no joke. It is actually his birthday today. Minnesota the other day had an April Fool's joke a couple days ago because we had snow. After a nice 70 week, we dropped down to 30 and had some snow. So that was Minnesota's joke on us. But we're here. We're not going to do any jokes. Might do some comedy movies, but we got 6 actors that we are going to rank their top 5 movies. And then, of course, our fun blind rank. I definitely kind of like that bit. And this is in honor of one Gene Hackman who tragically passed away, depending on what report you read, a few weeks ago. So, but we'll start with the one and only Julia Roberts. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna go 3. I'll go 3.
Go 3. I don't know if I'm as positive on that. I give you 2, 3 kind of sounds because Julia Roberts had a lot.
She did, and that's one thing when doing these lists. You realize, you think you've seen a lot of the movies, but then you really haven't. Like, we got another one on here too where I thought I've seen a lot of her movies, and I really haven't. So,
right.
All right. You say 2, okay? Yeah, I mean I can see. So kick it off with your 5th top Julia Roberts movie.
Well, I like this. I like this movie because of another person, and you find out that in this movie, the cameos in this movie were a dime a dozen in this because you had Phil Collins play the head of the police department in London. You had Glenn Close, who played a man in the movie. To me, it's one of my favorites every time I see it. To have Dustin Hoffman play Captain Hook, Robin Williams play Peter Panny, but I think it was perfectly cast to put Tinkerbell as who it was. I absolutely love this movie completely, 100%. My number 5 is Hook.
Okay. My number 5, I think it'll be. I think down the road, I think we're going to be talking about this series of movies on how star-studded the cast was, and of course, Julia Roberts is a part of it. I'm going with the Ocean's 11 series. I know they made 3 or 4 of them, but yeah, Ocean's 11.
Yeah, I like that series. It was a fun series.
All right, you're number 4.
My number four, going back to the 80s. I know they remade this movie not too long ago. I want to say 5-6 years ago, but this was one of the first 2 or 3 movies that I remember watching that had Julia Roberts in it. And at the time I thought it was weird. I didn't get it when I was younger, but I got it a lot later. She's got a great supporting cast with Oliver Platt, Kiefer Sutherland. There's one more that I'm probably forgetting completely, and it's going to be terrible. I think it might be Demi Moore, but I'm not quite sure. But it was amazing because it was a bunch of college med students, and I absolutely love this movie. I love this movie so much more now after I saw the remake. That it made me really appreciate this movie. I love this movie completely. My number 4 is Flatliners.
Flatliner, okay. All right. Well, I don't have Flatliner, but we got the phrase that pays. And what can you say? At number 4, I have Hook. I mean, it is, like you said, and the one I forgot the woman's name that dressed up as a man.
Glenn Close.
Yeah, Glenn Close. Yeah, I saw a clip on TikTok or something that said that. I'm just like, no way. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was legit. But I mean, Robin Williams as Peter Pan, Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell. Yeah, I don't. Looking back and trying to think who could have played that role at that time, I think you're right. I think they picked the right person. So. All right, you're number 3.
To me, my number 3, this was the first movie I ever saw Julia Roberts in. One of my mom's favorite movies. This was another one when you realize that when you look back at the cast, it was at the time it was star-studded. Shirley MacLaine, Dolly Parton, Julia Roberts. It was just fun. Sally Field, if I'm not mistaken, was in this movie as well. Nice down home Southern type of movie. I love it. I loved it then, and it wasn't me being a guy and watching this movie. It's a little out of the stereotypical things for the guys, but I think spoiler alert, I think she dies in the movie. But my number 3 is Steel Magnolias.
Okay. Yeah, I believe I think you're right. She died. I haven't seen it. As a matter of fact, my next 2 movies, I've seen bits and pieces. Haven't seen it fully, but my number 3 is like I said, haven't seen it, so I'm not going to go into detail. But Notting Hill. You're at number 2.
My number 2, I believe she was nominated for an Oscar. I'm going to say she's nominated. I don't know if she won for it. It's like the one of 2 movies that keeps getting put back into, gets put right into Julia Roberts. When you talk about Julia Roberts, seems like everybody goes to one of 2 movies, based on a real person, based on a true story, which I think is amazing. My number 2 is Erin Brockovich.
I know this is one of my sister's favorite movies, and you have it at 2. I have it at 2. And Erin Brockovich. So you're number 1.
My number 1, I think the movie that basically put Julia Roberts on the map for basically everybody. You put her up against. My wife hates this movie because she doesn't like the fact is that they made a movie about a prostitute. I'm gonna leave that at that. That's fine. That's great. But with this, if it wasn't for this movie, Julia Roberts, I don't think becomes as big of a star as fast as she did. And then you pair opposite of Richard Gere, I think was an absolute right choice. If you ever get a chance to look up how that movie was supposed to end and how it ended, it's crazy because she always makes the comment that she wants to go to. She makes a comment during the movie that she always wanted to go to Disney World, and And the real ending that was written was that she doesn't end up with Richard Gere. She ends up going back home, and then the next day she goes to Disneyland instead of falling
really?
in love with, and instead of falling in love with Richard Gere and the whole happily ever after Hollywood fairy tale ending happened that we got. My number one is Pretty Woman.
Well, let's go back to back. The phrase that pays, getting it off quick here. My computer's not working, but yeah, Pretty Woman. What can you say? Put her on the map. Some could say maybe her pairing with Richard Gere pairing with her kind of put him out there. I know they've done a few movies together. They always go back to Pretty Woman as their movie. So, but yeah, Pretty Woman was a pretty interesting one. Like you said, a lot of people don't like it because they made a movie about a prostitute, and but it was a classic love story, I guess. So, all right. So let's go to next lady, Miss Sandra Bullock. This lady, in my eyes, she can be funny. She can be serious. I enjoyed many of her movies I've watched. So, I want to say 4 with the curveball.
Oh,
I think I'm going to stick with 3 though.
I like 3, but I could see your 4. I honestly could see your 4. Yeah,
so
my wife picked this person out, so
okay. All right.
She loves Sandra Bullock, so you can't.
Oh yeah, there's nothing you can say. And the thing is when I was going through her list of movies, it's just like, oh really? That was even some movies I've seen. I was like, God, was that really Sandra Bullock? And that she changed her look so much that it's just like watching her in one movie and then seeing her in another. It's just like, oh my God, I can't believe it's the same person. But my number 5. I don't believe it was one of her. It was one of her first movies. I don't know if it was like her coming out party, but it kind of put her on the map a little bit. And I'm gonna go Speed.
Wow, number 5.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that one, I guess.
All right. Your number 5.
My number 5. I don't know why people hate this movie so much. My number 5, it's like it's amazing how people. It was like Sandra Bullock, George Clooney, and something else, and it's like, okay, that's it. That's basically 3 people. Look at the cast. There's like 4 people in the cast, and I'm like, and then I watched it for like 2 hours, and I'm like, I really like the basically it's just George Clooney gets sucked out of a cabin. And you don't hear him for the rest of the movie. He's gone. He's just gone. And it's amazing. And it's like, people think this movie just sucks. They're like, this is Sandra Bullock's worst movie. I'm like, no, I've seen some worse ones. There's a movie out there called The Net that isn't the world's greatest movie. But I love it. And it's just basically 2 hours of Sandra Bullock just floating in space. Absolutely love it. I don't think people get the comedy of it. I absolutely love it. My number 5 is Gravity.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's why I know 5 with the curveball was 4 with.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I honestly haven't seen Gravity, so. But my number 4, another good pairing that she had, and. Looking back, it's just like, yeah, I don't know if they could have pulled this one off as a comedy movie, without, now I can't even think of her co-star in this movie. Oh God, I just drew a blank. But the movie is, she's a cop and a inspector, I guess, looking for criminals. The movie's Heat. I love Heat.
You went with Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just could not think of her name. So
I was like, thinking, did you go Melissa McCarthy? I'm like,
yes, Melissa McCarthy. Yeah, that's So
I'm thinking
you're number 4.
I'm starting to think your curveball might be necessary at this point. I remember the parody that Saturday Night Live did of this movie, where Peyton Manning was playing the Michael Oher character, and I think I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, and it just I don't get it. And then you find because of the book, and I understand that, but some find out that a lot of those things didn't kind of happen. But even if a lot of that stuff in the book, the stuff didn't happen, it's still a good movie, and she plays a really good character. My number 5 is The Blind Side.
All right. My number 3. I enjoy watching them. These movies. This is a series. Didn't realize that she was part of it until you just start doing research. I'm going with the Minions.
I didn't realize. Oh yeah, she was, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I don't know where you're. I'm starting to wonder where your curveball is.
That would be the curveball. All right.
Was it? Oh boy.
Yeah. I didn't think you'd have the Minions on there. So
yeah.
You're number 3.
Well, my number 3, and the first time I watched this movie, I didn't really, because I watched it a long time ago, and I remember the movie where they talk about all the restaurants were Taco Bell, and it's funny because if you come over here and you get a European version of the movie, all the restaurants are Pizza Huts. So they change it, but it's one of those movies that I like, and it's kind of a campy little movie of an action movie that stars Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, and then you realize it's got Rob Schneider in it, it's got Benjamin Bratt, a little bit of it's got Dennis Leary, and it's for a sneeze, Jack Black is in the movie, and I've still got questions about things. I'm still quite, and it's literally you see him and he's like, okay, he's gone. Okay, what? Okay, but there's always one question to me, and what were the seashells for in the bathroom? Nobody's ever said. I'm still confused by it. I'm much like Sylvester Stallone in that movie, wondering what the seashells were about. But it's just a fun movie to me. I absolutely love the movie. My number 3 is Demolition Man.
God, I haven't seen that one in years. That's a good one, though. That is a good one. Yeah, I knew what movie you were talking about when you said, Stallone. I had to go look. Yeah, Jet Black or Black's in there. I might have to just go watch it just to find out if I can pick the part that he's in.
Oh, he's in there for a sneeze, just a little bit too.
Yeah. All right, my number 2. I think just like Julia Roberts, Sandra Bullock, you get these dramas, but Sandra Bullock, I think, tries to make them funny. And I actually like this one. It's got Betty White in there as the mother-in-law, or no, the grandmother-in-law to be.
Grandmother.
I can't think the actor's name, but plays the father. He's from Coach.
That's
Aiden Fox is the coach. His name.
It's Craig T. Nelson.
Yeah, but I think the premise behind it is that she needs her green card or work visa, I think, and they try to pull off a fake marriage, but then they end up really falling for each other, and that's the proposal.
Yeah, I saw that on there. I'm like, I like it. It's top 10. I'll give you that.
Oh yeah.
To me,
you're number 2.
My number 2. When you brought up I thought you were talking about this one when you were talking about a cop movie. Another one where you kind of the only person that could have played it could have only been Sandra Bullock, where she goes undercover. And they did 2 movies of this. This is the one thing that confused me. They did 2 movies of this in this series. And it's where she goes undercover at a beauty pageant.
Oh,
and
you did that way.
I love the way it was. They try to make her she's kind of like the same cop in Heat, where she is in like in this series of movies, and they ended up making her a little more prim and proper. But I just the way she does it and gets there, it's just hilarious. My number 2 is the Miss Congeniality series.
That is a good one. Yeah, another set of movies I haven't seen in a while. But my number 1, we're gonna go with the phrase that pays. I'm getting shut out here like my Minnesota Twins against the White Sox. I got The Blind Side. Listening to watching the movie and then listening to um, Orr's his perspective of the movie he didn't like, but I think Sandra Bullock, like you said, she kind of just plays a different character, kind of not a badass mom, but kind of got that gripe behind her that what she says goes, and
Yeah.
Tim McGraw again, another guy. Honestly, if I didn't know who was in that movie already, I wouldn't have expected Tim McGraw would have been in there because it didn't look like him. But that was a pretty good movie. I enjoy watching it all the time, especially when she goes to practice and gets on the field and goes and tells tells Orr this is their family, and then she walks by the coach. She goes, "You can thank me later." And the coach goes and sits by her after the play. She goes, "It's later," So
yeah, that my mom would have never got it. No, my dad would have been the first.
Oh yeah, your dad would.
My mom, not even close. My dad got red carded at a soccer game. So my number 1. Well, unlike the Minnesota Twins, you're not going to get shut out. It's the phrase that pays. It's not C2C unless you're sniping. You have it at number 5. I have it at number 1. I love Speed. I love Speed so much. I think Speed is an amazing movie. Dennis Hopper, Keanu Reeves, I think Jeff Daniels, unbelievable cast. And it's basically you're looking at Sandra Bullock, a young Sandra Bullock and a young Keanu Reeves, young in their career. That was before Bill and Ted, and it's still an amazing movie. The chemistry they have, and you saw it again when they were in the lake house, but I think it was an amazing movie.
Well, and the thing is you sit there, you watch the movie, and then you got to sit there and just think, man, what if this was actually happening? And you're on the bus that can't drop below 65 or something.
55.
55. Okay. And they're trying to get out of the way, and just throw of that. Granted, you don't want to see nothing seriously happen, but
right.
So, all right. So I didn't get shut out. That's good. So let's go to Meryl Streep now. This is one lady I thought I've seen a lot more of her movies, and maybe I'm just thinking of somebody else. But
he's got a ton. I didn't realize
she's got a ton. But I'm looking through the list. I'm like, God, I don't think I've seen more than half or less than half of these.
Yeah.
So, no, excuse me.
I'm gonna say, God.
I want to stay with 3, but I don't know. I'll stay with 3.
Oh golly, the funny thing is I just watched one of these 3 weeks ago.
I haven't watched. Yeah, I haven't watched.
I could say 3. I'll say 2 just to be safe.
Yeah, I think 2 is probably gonna be the safer number. So,
yeah.
All right, well, let's kick it off.
My number 5. It was a movie I wasn't really expecting. I didn't know how it was going to come down. Amy Adams and Meryl Streep, where Amy Adams as an author, and she starts going through the cookbook of Meryl Streep's character, and it's you just see how much her character goes through just to become even a huge chef in France, and along everything along those lines. I think they both won an Oscar nomination for their parts in this. My number 5 is Julie and Julia.
My number 5. I'm going to say I did not care for the movie, and you're going to ask me why is it in my top 5? Because it's one of the 5. It's pretty much one of the few movies I've seen of hers. Of course, it's a remake, and the original is way better. The second one, like I said, it's not my favorite, but it's a movie I've seen of hers. I'm going Mary Poppins Returns.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
It's one of those movies where, okay, I got to watch it because I watched the original, and it's just like, all right, yeah, I seen it, but all right. You're number 4.
My number 4, this is the one movie I saw 3 weeks ago. It's starring Philip Seymour Hoffman, Meryl Streep, where they play in a Catholic school, and the Catholic school in the 60s in New York, and basically we're talking about what Catholic priests like to do, and you got to kind of tiptoe around this. We're not monetized here, but we could get shut down real quick. I think it's a great movie. It's on Netflix if anybody wants to find it, because that's where I found it. My number 4 is Doubt.
Okay. All right. My number 4. Again, I mean, a lot of people have this, little love triangle, thing. They can't make a decision or whatever, and just kind of want to play it by day. But of course, they made a movie on it, starring Steve Martin, Alec Baldwin, and of course Meryl Streep. It's Complicated. That's the movie.
That wasn't the one I was thinking you were going at when you said a love triangle. I'm like,
yeah. All right, you're number 3.
My number 3 is a movie. Again, my wife loves Meryl Streep, so I'll watch anything Meryl Streep at this point, but I don't mind it. She made a request to watch this whenever I had a chance to, Captain Hook it off the internet. But I like it. It was a good movie. It really showed it was based on a true person, a real person in Great Britain, Margaret Thatcher. I liked it. You found out you really learned a lot. I think Meryl Streep learned a lot. My number 3 is Iron Lady.
Okay. My number 3 is your number 5, Julia.
Wow, you saw the movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I did. Meryl Streep, like I said, It's Complicated and Julia are the 2 movies I did see, but just reading the reviews and knowing people that have seen it, I mean, you gotta throw it up there. So you're number 2.
So I'm kind of guessing what your number 1 might be, but I'm not sure. You were talking about a love triangle with It's Complicated.
Yep.
Well, I've got a different love triangle, and it's actually a more of a comedy. When you're playing opposite Bruce Willis and you're playing opposite of Goldie Hawn. This was hilarious, and my mom picked this movie out when it first came out, so we could rent it and watch it, and it's hilarious to this day. I love it. I still think it's hilarious. My wife loves it. I've never watched it with her, so that tells you everything you need to know. My number 2 is Death Becomes Her.
All right, my number 2 movie. I've seen it years ago.
Here comes She Devil.
But yeah.
Really?
It came out in '89, so that's been a while. So, and the movie's called She's the Devil, or She's Devil.
I was joking when I said it.
Yeah.
She Devil.
Yeah, you're number 1.
My number 1. This is the one that basically, and everybody's gonna say, no, there's like 9 of them that You go up to any Meryl Streep fan, and they'll give you 9 different answers for what's their big Meryl Streep movie is. Some will give you Out of Africa. Some will give you My Number One. Could be anything. My number one. When I saw this for the first time, it blew my mind. It was one of those. Everyone's like, you need to, if once in your life you need to see this movie, and it's absolutely crazy. It's a heartbreaking movie. I'll be honest. I cried. I watched it 4 years ago. First time I ever saw it, and it made me cry at the end. I was like, how I couldn't understand it. It's one of those movies. I'm usually one of those guys that will talk an ear off about a movie that I really like, but this one just shut me up. I think it's from 1981 or 82. But my number one Meryl Streep movie is Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, like you said, Meryl Streep, you guys, fans are all going to give a different one. And of course, I'm going to give you a different one right now. But you had it at number 2. I think this is,
that's hilarious.
Definitely a great movie. It really makes you think, do you want to be able to live forever?
Yeah.
You want it, could you and would you? It's one of those movies that makes you think. But yeah, Death Becomes Her is a great movie. Bruce Willis plays the, I guess, scientist behind finding the formula to make you live forever. And of course, they're trying to, not get in accidents because you have to put yourself together. And so, yeah, it's definitely.
Was Bruce Willis in She-Devil too?
I think he was. Now that I think about it,
I know it's Roseanne Barr and Meryl Streep.
It's one of those classics that is just like funny, but kind of out there, I guess. So
no, it's Ed Begley Jr.
What's that?
It's Ed Begley Jr., not Bruce Willis.
Okay. All right, so let's move into the male side of things, and we're going to start off with the man himself, Denzel Washington. This one we could have won.
This could have been an
hour.
Him
and Tom Hanks, I think we could have done, and Tom Hanks' next one, we could have done just 10 and probably not covered all their movies.
And everybody keeps, and the funny thing is when you look at that, and everybody forgets that he got his start on St. Elsewhere with Howie Mandel.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna.
How many do you think?
God. You know what? I'm going to go 4. I think I could see 5. I don't know. I think my 5th one might not make your list. I don't know.
I'm going to say 3 with a possible 4.
Okay.
But
all right. Well, I'm going to start off with number 5. Sports movie, so there's only limited ones, but this one
I think
what can we say? You grow up in the hood, you make some wrong choices, end up in jail. Your son becomes a superstar, and the judge wants you to try to convince your son that you don't talk to go to his alma mater.
I forgot all about that one.
And he doesn't want to, but in the end, he decides to go there. Anyways, but yes, the movie's He Got Game.
Golly.
With Mr. Ray Allen.
Yeah, and I met him before that season happened too. Yeah, the Jesus Shuttlesworth. I forgot all about Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I gotta remember. I'm like, okay, I got it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, no. And you bring up He Got Game, and I went, I knew I forgot one.
All right, you're number 5.
My number 5, you kind of alluded to another person on our list. We've got about you went straight looking. I'm like, yeah, he's did a movie with Julia Roberts. He did Pelican Brief with Julia Roberts. I don't think he's done anything with Sandra Bullock, but I'm staying in the guy range. Tom Hanks. absolutely. I think this movie was a tour de force. I think this movie really put the I'm not gonna I don't have this on my Tom Hanks list, just so everybody knows. Um, it really and I'm gonna give glowing reviews to Tom Hanks here while I can. It was the movie that really made people see Tom Hanks as a dramatic actor. Um, but you put Denzel Washington as his lawyer in this movie, and to find out this was an Antonio Banderas movie too. Um, it's absolutely crazy. I saw this movie at the theater, and it was another one of those movies that you kind of just were in shock watching, and there's movies that make your life a little better, and this was also there's movies that make your life feel a little worse, and this was kind of one of those that played that fence. Um, but my number 5 is Philadelphia.
Well, let's keep the trainer rolling with the phrase that pays. I got Philadelphia at number 4. The funny thing is, I doing the list, I didn't even realize that Tom Hanks was even in the movie. Because I really didn't look up I didn't really look up Tom Hanks movies because I pretty much had my list set when you
I didn't either.
put this list up there. But looking at Denzel Washington movies, it's just like, oh yeah, Philadelphia, And when you said he paired with Tom Hanks, and then I'm just like, really? So,
the thing is, this is one of those Tom Hanks and Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington are 3 guys that I don't have to look up squat for.
Yeah, hey, Gene Hackman, I kind of had to, but yeah, Washington, I looked up a couple just to make sure I did, because I like to get him mixed up with
Here he comes to be the Lawrence Fishburne and the Samuel L. Jackson one.
Samuel L. Jackson, yes. I because there was one movie I was looking for, and I was like, where is it? And then it dawned on me that it was Samuel L. Jackson that was the lead, not Washington. So,
really,
you're number 3.
Which movie? Which movie was
it? It's the one with
Coach Carter.
No, with the dad from American Pie.
The one with
Man?
Eugene Levy.
Yeah, The Man.
The Man. Okay. Oh yeah, golly, that was a long.
That's a good one. I like that.
It's
one.
a good, funny movie. I guess we know it's going to be on our list soon because we want to talk about a list that we could sit there for an hour and a half on. And Samuel Jackson.
Yeah. All right, you're number 3.
My number 4.
That's right.
My number 4. I love this movie, and I know they can't do a sequel to it because if you've seen the movie, what happens at the end. But the little girl and Denzel Washington pair up again, which is I think it's Elle Fanning. They pair up again in the Equalizer 3. I think I've got Equalizer 3, but yet haven't watched it. This made me think of as Denzel Washington as an action star, and I think and at that point I really hadn't thought of it. But my number 4 is Man on Fire.
Okay. All right, my number 3. I think this movie kind of just fits Denzel really well. I mean, I know he can be funny, but I think these serious roles are made for him, and this one definitely is up there. My number 3 is Training Day.
All right.
You're number 3.
Well, when you brought up a sports movie earlier, I thought you were talking about this movie. Basically when he's watched the movie, he knows what strong side, weak side means. To me, it's the quintessential. It's the quintessential sports movie. It's not even an argument. My number 3 is Remember the Titans.
Okay. My number 2. I think I think he portrayed the character really well. or the iconic celebrity, I guess, public figure, and it's one of those things where you talk about the public figure, kind of like Will Smith and Muhammad Ali. You see Will Smith as Muhammad Ali, and this is kind of the same thing. I got Denzel Washington as Malcolm X.
Yeah, I thought I forgot. I didn't forget that one. I haven't honestly seen it, so don't.
I honestly haven't either, but the clips I've seen and the people just talking about it, it's just like, yeah, you can actually see Malcolm X in Denzel Washington and vice versa. So
yeah, he really buries himself deep into it.
All right, you're number 2.
My number 2. I remember seeing this movie in school, especially during American history class. It's one of those times where you see an icon of the movie in of movies, and even at that time, Morgan Freeman was starting to get to become that icon of cinema in the 80s, the mid 80s. But when you see two icons be on screen, and one was just learning from the other, and it's about the first Black regiment in the Civil War. I love. It's another movie. It's got Cary Elwes. It's got Matthew Broderick. I think it's an amazing movie. I think anybody who loves Civil Wars movies, or just war movies in general, should watch it. And especially if you're an American history buff, I think you should watch it. My number 2 is Glory.
Good one. Well, Tim, you're really putting the hammer down. My number 1. Remember the Titans, like you said. If you know where strong side, weak side, you know where Old Sunshine comes from. That movie I just think puts in perspective on the battle that our parents, our grandparents, had to struggle through, when they try to integrate, the colors and stuff like that, and for them to, come together and say, hey, this can work. I mean, there's a great line that one of the players says that, we're not perfect, but up till this moment we have been, and talk about their perfect season. And so, but yeah, remember the Titans. What a great movie I think that was. So yeah, so we're at 2.
So my number 1.
Oh, you're number 1. God dang it.
So my number 1. Well, go ahead. It's the phrase that pays. It's not C2C unless we're sniping. I love this movie. My wife hates this movie. My number 1 is your number 3.
Oh, Training Day.
I love Training Day. To me, I love Training Day. And it's funny thing is, if you ever watched that, it's got whatchamacallit. What the heck is his name? Oh, this is terrible. I don't know if you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but he's the what the heck is his name? But he was supposed to be an extra, right, on the scene,
okay,
in one of the scenes, and you find out that the director of the movie says, "I really like you a lot. Can you come back tonight?" And he's actually in one of the whole big scenes where he makes where the whole King Kong got nothing on me, and you see in the background is Terry Crews.
Okay.
And Terry Crews didn't have a line. He technically wasn't an actor. He was just there because one of his friends who was working as an extra on the movie was going to there, and he says, if you can bring any guys that are big guys that can come and play this scene, bring them along. And Terry Crews is in the background of the scene, basically in a white wife beater, and Terry's got that mean mug look on his face, like he always seems to, but he's probably the biggest teddy bear pussycat in the planet, and he just looks like he's ready to rip Denzel Washington's head off, and it's hilarious. And Terry Crews will tell you, I wasn't supposed to be in that scene.
yeah. Terry Crews is another guy too that he's doing it all, and it's just like, how? I mean, showing up at cameos like that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we got 3. If anybody's keeping track at home, Tim is just killing me on snipes as usual. So
I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to destroy you on this one too. I already know it. This is Tom
All right.
Hanks.
Well, Tom Hanks is our next one, so Tim gets to start, so we'll see. But yeah. God, I could go. Yeah, you going 5?
I can see five. I can
Oh, I
honestly
can
see.
see 5 too. And
I can see
I
five
think
all day.
I think 5 is going to determine on my number 5.
Oh gosh, but no, it's got to depend on my number 5 because I got to go.
Well,
first.
yeah. Realistically, it's going to depend on your number 5. But if your number 5 is on my list, then I think it's going to come down to my number 5. So
and the funny thing is, I just watched the.
Are you going to go with 5 or are you going to
No,
go?
I'm going to go 4. I'm going 4 just to be safe.
That's where I'm going. I'm going to go 4. So.
And the funny thing is, I just watched a Tom Hanks movie like 2 weeks ago, and it's not on this list.
I'm trying to think. Have I seen a Tom Hanks movie recently?
I saw Greyhound.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, kick it off. Let's see what you got.
My number 5, the movie that basically I thought I remember that I got the biggest grin because I can remember the end of this movie and it pissed so many people off. And it's like, no, he should have got the girl at the end. I'm like, no, he shouldn't have. I'm like, this is the movie where you don't need the whole Hollywood fairy tale ending. But you know who was really, really happy about this movie? The people who decide to make volleyballs named Wilson. When this movie came out, Wilson, the volleyball manufacturer Wilson, the number of volleyball sales went up after this movie, and it's because of Tom Hanks and him having basically an hour and a half conversation with a volleyball. But I think this was a brilliant movie, and I was so happy that he didn't get Helen Hunt at the end of the movie. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was great. I thought it was exactly the way it should have went. My number 5 is Castaway.
Oh,
Well, there's
a good one. That is a good one, and it's one of the movies that I like. I don't know, not my genre movie. So yes, we don't get 5. That is a good one. I almost had it on the list too. Well, like you said, the volleyball and yeah. My number 5 is a movie. I want to say it was one of his first ones, and I think just as a guy growing up, you kind of want to live what he did in the movie, especially when it's your last night out or whatever. But
I don't have.
But yeah, I got Bachelor Party at number 5.
Good thing we went 4. Hopefully good thing we went 4.
Yeah. All right, you're number 4.
Speaking of movies, one of the couple of the first movies that he's ever done. This is the movie where he met his wife. If anybody really remembers who the older woman is that his character falls in love with, but I don't know about you, but I was always looking for one of those machines that make me become older too, and I wasn't so lucky. I think teens that age really all they want to do is grow up, and then you do that overnight, and then you realize you don't want to be that. You don't want to be, we've got a saying now that would have been great back in the 80s. Is like, I don't want to adult anymore. Yeah, this is the perfect movie for that. My number 4 is Big.
All right. My number 4, a movie that could come to life here if rumors are true in 2006 with the women getting their own professional baseball league, but this is definitely an iconic one. I watch almost yearly, especially around baseball season time. And hopefully someday get to go to the Hall of Fame and kind of tour this. But yeah, a league of their own. I mean, so many classic lines in that one. So, uh-oh.
Nope.
What's your number 3?
My number 3, let's see. It's one of the funny thing is when you find out one of the executive producers of this movie is Steve Jobs. It's one of the big, huge movies that put Pixar on the map. This series of movies, and I believe they just they're doing another one, from my understanding. Um, and the weird thing is, they did an offshoot of it called Lightyear with Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear. To me, I watched the first one and I thought it was amazing. I remember seeing the third one in the theater because it was one of those. It was 20 years since the first one. Um, it kind of tugged at the heartstrings a little bit, watching your childhood just go away. And then they did a fourth one and just erased the third one, the memory of the third one completely. My number 3 is Toy Story.
You mean your number 4?
My number 3.
Oh, you started off.
Yes, sir.
Oh, let's keep it going with the phrase that pays. What can we say? I enjoyed all of them, just like you did. Toy Story. I don't know about you, Tim, and I know it's not true, but it was one of those movies that made you think, what does happen behind the closed doors when the toys aren't looking? Do they come to life? And I know people are going to watch this and be like, Brandon, you're stupid. I'm like, I understand that, but what if they did come to life when you're not watching them? I mean,
and the funny thing, and the greatest thought is in your mind, especially when you're a kid, is like, that toy isn't where it was when I left the other day.
Exactly, you are right. There's been many times. I mean, we do it as adults now. I know I didn't leave it there, but how did I get there?
Where are my keys? It's like, I swear to God, I left my keys here. I left my phone there, and it's like all of a sudden, it's like the inanimate objects walked off the face of the earth sometimes.
Nope. And yes, there is a fifth installment coming out sometime this year. Release date, June 19th is the prospective release date. So it definitely will be a movie I will catch just kind of see what they do.
Just so you hear it from me too. There's going to be a 5th Shrek movie.
Really?
Next year, supposedly it's supposed to be next year. I saw the trailer for it already. It's supposed to either later this year or next year at the latest.
All right, you're number 2.
My number 2. I remember reading the book. I thought it was a fascinating book. It's the movie that put Michael Clark Duncan on the map, even though we didn't get him for that long. I watch it. I watch it like regularly, and I've been reading Stephen King stuff lately, a lot of it, and this one just holds the test of time. The movie, the book, the whole entire thing. He plays Boss Edgecombe. I think it was an amazing role for him. The back and forth between Tom Hanks and Michael Clark Duncan is I think their chemistry was a match made in heaven. I think it was brilliant. My number 2 is The Green Mile.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that said the Green Mile tearjerker, but they said if they could have an award for a scene, and I haven't seen the movie in a while. There was one where I think they said Duncan was behind bars, and him and Tom Hanks are just there's just a moment there that everybody just remembers. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen that movie, but that's a good one. But we're going to keep going with Tim ripping me off here. Number 2, I think this was another movie that put Hanks on the map. Again, another movie, like you said, Tim, trying to find that machine to go back in time. Part of me would like to. I don't know, if I would do it now, but yeah, the movie Big. That was a pretty good, funny movie there. You're number 1.
My number 1 is what I like to call the ultimate fairy tale. Like, we're both citizens of the United States, and we like movies that are based off of that are like, hard to believe stories, hard to believe movies, but it makes it, when you see his character speaking to different presidents and playing football for Bear Bryant in at Alabama, going to China and playing ping pong as a goodwill ambassador for the United States, and to think that he's what the people call retarded, as I'm quoting the movie, so don't go and all of a sudden go taking it out and going, "Hey, Tim said the R word," but just and he's the guy that basically they thought basically started Nike, and as a running shoe. But this movie is the one that gave him his first Oscar. I see it on. It seems like everybody's got an impersonation of the main character. Everybody's got one, and it's like it's like the Dusty Rhodes of impersonations. Everybody's got a Dusty Rhodes. Everybody's got this guy. My number one is Forrest Gump.
Well, the phrase that pays. I mean, yeah, what can you say? I think that was definitely one of the top two movies I put on the list when you sent out this list was Forrest Gump. Yeah, everything like you said, talking to presidents. Wasn't there it's been a while. Wasn't there a scene where he was with Elvis or something? Or
Yeah,
because
his mom rented out house rooms in his. He was a border house. He was a boarding house, and Elvis was one of the reason why he did the whole hip shake was because of Forrest.
Yep. Yeah.
And his son was named after, and he was named after a KKK leader.
Yep. Yep. And then recently I just saw a video of his son, Tom Hanks' son, doing a song and paying tribute to. Well, I don't know if it's really paying tribute, but they're doing the video of him sitting on the bench, Forrest Gump meeting different people. So, and Tom Hanks made a cameo in that one. So, all right. So let's get down to our last list here before our blind rank. In honor of the guy that passed away again, tragic. Gene Hackman. I mean, what can be said about this guy that hasn't been said? Probably got, did get as many awards or accolades that he should have gotten. But tragic news, hearing about him, his wife, and his dog all passing away, but this one is another one we could probably do a good 10 list on and maybe not snipe. So I'm going to go back to 3 because I think I got a couple that might not show up on your list there.
I like 3. As a matter of fact, I've got him winning an Oscar in one of my movies. Matter of fact, one I just watched today.
All right. Well, I'll start off at number 5. I know he wasn't the main character or top 2 characters, but he does make a good appearance in there. With Will Smith trying to find this little chip that people are looking for.
No, I don't have that one. I didn't know which one. Jack Black's in that one too.
Yes, he is.
He sits right next to Seth Green.
Yep. Nope, it is. And they come to find out that it's in his son's video game game. So Enemy of the State.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch that again. I like that movie.
Yeah. You're number 5.
My number 5 is a movie where he co-stars with another person on my list, and most people who know me don't really know this all that well. Is the fact is I love submarine movies, so I'm a big fan of Hunt of Red October. I love Das Boot. I love U-571. I love them, but this one is my favorite. This one is my absolute favorite. He plays opposite Denzel Washington. They could have used a different names because I'm an SEC fan and I really don't want to hear about Alabama while I'm watching a submarine movie. Another just a brilliant movie to me. My number 5 is Crimson Tide.
Yeah, that is a good one. Number 4. I know back in the 80s I've seen this movie and it's been a while. It's one of those things you see the name of the movie, then you're like, yeah, that was iconic, but you don't remember it. I'm going with Young Frankenstein.
He was in Young Frankenstein?
Yeah, he was.
Holy smokes.
That or else they put it on him as a director, but I don't think he directed back in 74.
I think that was. I think that's like 1979.
It was 74. It came out.
Wow. Him and Gene. You're thinking Gene Wilder or Gene Hackman?
No, it came.
Gene Hackman is in there.
Let me type it in there.
I didn't know that. I'd have watched it. I love that movie. Holy crap! Really?
Yeah. Mel Brooks, Gene Wilder, Gene Hackman played the blind guy.
Oh, that's right. Oh, how'd I forget that?
Yeah, and actually that cast, I mean, they got a lot in there.
That cast is huge too. That thing is a very big cast. Yeah.
All right, you're number two.
My number 4.
You're number 4, yeah.
My number 4. You know, one thing you don't really get out of Gene Hackman is comedy. And but yet he's done one. Only one that I ever remember. And I think it's great. It's amazing when Gene Hackman plays the husband of Diane Wiest, basically, who was the mother of Winona Ryder in Edward Scissorhands, and then you've got Nathan Lane. Nathan Lane, everybody knows, is the voice of Timon from Lion King. Yes, I find ways to get everything back to Lion King if I can. Plus I also get it back to Aladdin too, because when you've got Gene Hackman, you need the straight guy to play against probably one of the most funniest people to ever walk the face of this earth in Robin Williams. You know, it's hilariously and it's amazing. And it's the only movie where you see Gene Hackman have to walk out of a drag bar dressed up as a woman. And I think that it's absolutely amazing and made me feel it strengthened my reserve that he was confident as an actor to do that. My number 4 is The Birdcage.
That is a good one. Yeah, that is something to say with an actor. I know a lot of people will say, well, back in the day, actors played both, the males play both parts of a female, but yeah, for an actor,
as
to
masculine,
do that, I mean,
basically somebody who is as masculine as Gene Hackman was. It's like, it's nice.
Well, and that goes back to another movie too that I haven't seen in years, but you got Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes. Yeah,
I saw Tu Wong Fu at the theater.
Yeah, so to have like you said, guys that are supposed to be masculine play.
Oh, Wesley Snipes. You got Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes.
Well,
Snipes.
Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks and
Peter Scolari. Peter Scolari in Bosom Buddies.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but that all reminds you of like Walter Matthau and Tony Curtis and all the old, like, and Some Like It Hot back in the 60s.
Yep. All right, so my number 3, we're gonna go hit the gridiron. Gene Hackman, I think, is one of those guys that defines coaching roles. I think he does a great job in coaching. And at number 3, I got The Replacements.
I took that one off.
Oh yeah. You're number 3.
Oh, this is so sucky. This is so terrible because I know what my number 3 is, and you said, "Oh, because he plays coaches." Well, I went the other way. Um, that little thing about the Hickory basketball, high school basketball team, and again, another one where he proves that he can be a coach. And this is the one. This is the one that made it pretty much solidified it for me. My number 3 is Hoosiers.
Yeah. My number 2, we go from a coach, we go from a funny guy, and now you got to play a little evil guy to try to take down the Man of Steel. It's kind of like, who played this role better? Kind of like in the Batman series where who was the best Joker and stuff like that. Again, who's the best Lex Luthor? Luthor.
There's only one.
So I got Superman series movies.
Now, I'm going to make you feel a million times better right now.
All right.
It's not C2C unless we're sniping. It's the phrase that pays. My number 2 is your number 2. It was the second one I put on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Superman where Luthor and it's always, and it's like I always remember Ned Beatty going. It was like the second. Was it the first or the second one where he always called him Mr. Luthor and really put the heavy quoted on the OR. But it's to me, this is a whole roundtable conversation. I can see it coming where. Like I will say, I will die on the hill that Ledger is the Joker, but Luthor, it's Hackman until the day I die. Hackman.
We're definitely going to have to get with our podcast group and maybe some fans on a couple of these debates because to me, Jack Nicholson plays a heck of a Joker.
I'll give you. I have no problems having that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. What you said with Heath Ledger was a good one too, but
it's those people that
I don't think there's a debate on Luthor, but maybe.
Oh no, but everybody's like it's they could say Cryer from Lois and
oh yeah,
Clark, but believe me, I think Cryer plays a great one, but we could honestly piss a lot of people off with our but no, I have no problems with Jack Nicholson. For me, it's always going to be, I think it's always Ledger to me, but it's those people who have lost their bloody mind when they say Leto is the best. Please, anybody wants to go ahead and link this to Jared Leto. I'd love to have that conversation where Jared Leto thinks he was the best Joker.
Yeah.
Absolutely was a shot in the face.
All right. Well, my number 1, I mean, what can you say? You have it at number 3. I think his acting and his role, and it just shows when you're part of a team and how great of a coach is the team may not be performing, but yet they're getting ready to fire him, and here comes the kid that doesn't want to play. Says, "Hey, I'm going to start playing basketball." Everyone's like, "Yeah," but he has to stay head coach. So
right.
I mean, there's a lot of coaches. I should say a lot. There's a few coaches that growing up that I would play in a heartbeat for or do what I can, and but Hoosiers, taking a little school out of nowhere to take them to the NCAA tournament. He's there kind of joking with them and be like, "Hey, we're in the big time," but they take a tape measure and they measure the hoop down to the floor. That's a big scene. It's the same court, just in a different scenery.
Yeah, I think that's the best. I think that's the best scene in the entire movie, where where we might be in a bigger place, but the dimensions are the same.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. I think that one is definitely the bigger picture there. So the bigger message. So you're number 1.
My number 1. I just watched it today. I had to rewatch it, thinking it's got to be. If I'm going to have it on my list, especially at number 1, I have to rewatch it. I wish it were The Replacements, but it's not, because I love that movie. To me, I think the replacements, and you're going to say, why is it not on the list? It'd be number 6. But I watched Unforgiven. To me, I love westerns, but most people who know me already know that. I love John Wayne, but I could have easily doubled up here because he's in 2 westerns. But the Unforgiven cast was amazing. It's directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Clint Eastwood, starring Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman. It's amazing to watch. If I were to double up, I would have doubled it up with The Quick and the Dead with Gene Hackman again. He plays sheriff in both movies, which is hilarious because, like I said, we've watched him in Superman, and he plays these characters. But it's The Quick and the Dead's got Hackman, DiCaprio, Russell Crowe, and Sharon Stone. I love that movie, and it took a long time for it to get there, but to me, the Hackman Western is always going to be Unforgiven for me. And it's the movie that won him the Oscar, so I'm not going to really argue there.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing is, like I said earlier, he probably should have got way more awards than.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Hoosiers, I think he should have got one for.
Yeah, I don't even think he was nominated for Hoosiers, which is bullshit. I got to be close to our swearing quota at this point.
All right, so let's get into the fun topic. Let's get into our blind rank. Again, if you guys follow the show, Tim and I each pick a category. We don't tell the other person what it is, and we try to get their ranking on it. So, Tim, I'll let you have the honors this week to give it to me first.
All right. I grew up a lot. But that's funny to say. Just that alone, people are going to go, did you? But I come from a family that likes to play a lot of games, table games, card games, board games. We play a lot of games here too. So I figure we'll find out if you really like games.
Oh, I love games.
Okay. So we're going to start off
with Triple H. I love the game. No.
So I'm going to start off with Uno.
Ooh. Now, see, I have a problem with Uno. I love the game, but it has to be played strategically. I know the rules say if you have a draw 4 or a wild, you have to play it. I hate that rule.
You don't play it that way. I don't play it that way.
Yeah, and there's some people that do. And I just can't stand that rule because it's all strategic. And of course, if you know the way I play, I'm going to try to save that to be the last card I have.
Now, see, we don't play if you can't play it as your last card. Here we play you can't play it as your last card.
Oh, see, that sucks. But I'll go number 3 on that one.
Number 3. All right. Well, I'll bring out one of the kid favorites of a long time ago, Candyland.
Candyland sucks. I'm going number 5. That game is just all you're doing is sitting there picking a card for a color and moving to the next color. I never understood Candyland. My wife loves that game. I don't get it. When Jackson was growing up, we were playing games, and she's like, "Let's play Candyland." I'm just like, "No." So Candyland's 5.
Candyland's 5. How about Yahtzee?
Oh, Yahtzee's fun. That touches home. Me and my grandma used to play it a lot. Sentimental value, I would have it at number 1, but I think I'm gonna drop it a little bit. I'm gonna play number 2 for Yahtzee.
Okay, we'll bring back one of the good kid favorites, Chutes and Ladders.
Oh God, that's another game like Candyland that didn't really have anything. You just threw the dice, and you're always trying to be. I think it was either because you had 2 dice to throw in there, right, or 1?
Yeah,
2 dice. Okay, so you're always you wanted to be like the first one to roll double snake eyes because I think the big ladder was at number 2 and shot you right up to the top. And then you always wanted to avoid the top of the board because that had the long slide that took you right back down to the bottom. So it could be a frustrating game. I'm gonna go number 5 with Chutes and Ladders.
It's number 4?
4, yeah, 4.
Okay. All right. Monopoly.
One of the most stressful games around, but if you play it right, some people play it right to where, if you got the Monopoly, you got to charge double the rent, which I don't care. Some people play it where you have to make it around the board once before you can buy property. There's so many different ways you can play that game. Free parking, do you put money in there? Tim, I remember we played it when we were in Michigan, I think, had a group of guys, and it just, and the key to that game is you got to make trades. I mean, you got to be able to wheel and deal.
I finally won my
first game. On.
I played it 3 weeks ago. I finally won my first game in 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and my Aunt Carrie, we played it one time, pretty much like all day to the point to where, I mean, we started having to keep a tab on the paper. It is definitely not a 2-person game. It has to be.
No.
You have to start with 6 to 8 people.
We got it here. We got a form of the game here where it's got an ATM machine.
Yeah.
Oh God, that makes it so much easier.
Yep. You got the ATM. Yeah. So many different versions of it, but yeah, that is a game that, unless you put a time limit on, if you have 2, maybe 3 people, that game could take forever. But if you got, like I said, 6 to 8 people, I mean, that definitely could be a game that can be fun and can be stressful, and can be the one where you see the table get flipped up because somebody landed on Boardwalk for the 5th time in a row, and it has a hotel on there. So no, I like that list. Like I said, Yahtzee for sentimental reasons would be my number 1 game. The other game, like I said, Candyland, it's kind of like me and Spaghetti. I don't like it. I'll play it if I have to, but Chutes and Ladders, but Uno, it all depends on what the rules are to make it fun and stuff like that. So, all right. So we did movies. Tim, you did games. I'm gonna go kind of easy on you this week. I'm gonna go top 5 cookie flavors. And you could go with either way, but I was thinking right out of the oven, freshly baked, nice, So that's what I was kind of shooting for, but you could do whatever. I'm going to start off with the classic sugar cookie.
I like sugar cookies, though. I like a plain cookie like that. I have to play. I'm going to say 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. And this next cookie got me hooked on because I used to work at a place next to Subway. They always had these, and for some reason, they come out fresh. White chocolate macadamia nut cookies.
Oh, no. No, these... I've got 3 favorite cookies, and these are one of them. Oh, God. And it's because of freaking Subway.
Yep.
Oh, my God. I'm going to say 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say 1 because,
Another cookie of mine that it has to be fresh, I think, to have its best flavor, and that's the oatmeal raisin cookie.
5. I don't got a problem with them, but it's just like
exactly. I don't got a problem, but to me they have to be fresh to be good.
They got to be warm. They have to be warm.
Another classic, the chocolate chip.
I'm pretty safe with my 1-2 at this point. I'm gonna say 4.
4.
because I have a feeling what you're going to come with.
What do you think I'm going to come with?
Peanut butter.
Yes, I'm coming with the peanut butter.
Yeah, 3. It's yeah, I'm good with my list. Yeah, I peanut butter is my favorite. It, to be honest, is one of my favorites. If you would have had a snickerdoodle on there, I might have had
I thought about a snickerdoodle, and
I will, and you will hear this first on this show. I would murder you for a snickerdoodle. I made snickerdoodles.
I'm not a big fan
them.
of this. I mean, they're good. Kind of like with the oatmeal, for me, they're good. I have no problem with them. But yeah,
I made 2 dozen. I made 2 or 3 dozen last year for Christmas. For snickerdoodle, I did because my sister was the one that always made them for me for Christmas. So she'd always make like 20 dozen cookies and like 3-4 dozen were snickerdoodles, and they were given to me. So no, snickerdoodles are the number one cookie. That's the only thing that would push down a white macadamia nut. The only one.
No, that's cool. I had white macadamia nut at 3, peanut butter at 1, chocolate chip at 2, sugar cookie 4, and then oatmeal at 5.
Oatmeal has to be at the right. You have to catch oatmeal at the right time.
Well, exactly. It has to be like that fresh oatmeal cookie. I mean,
chocolate chip is kind of that way too.
Chocolate chips are better when they're like just right out of the oven. That chocolate's still kind of melted.
But I have this idea. I got to remember. I have to remember the flavors, but I think I might have the list for next week already.
Ooh, all right.
Banking off. I'm going to kind of bank off of yours, but it's going to have a twist to it.
All right. So that's a little teaser for next week. So Tim, any final thoughts?
It's nice getting back into this show. It's there have been some. I'll be honest, I've had some hard days lately. So, this is a nice little. It's a nice little respite from the BS that we like to say is our lives some days, and this is great, and it's nice to laugh. I'll be honest, I haven't really been myself as of much lately, but that happens, especially with temperature change and spring change, but I'm all ready just to let Bacon know that I'm coming with homework for the draft live from Green Bay. I won't be live from Green Bay. I'll be live from my living room at 4 a.m. in Italy, but I'm all ready.
You can take the room to make it look like Green Bay, and
Jeez. Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward. Hopefully, if anybody got a chance to see Dynamite, Mr. Big B himself was there on at AEW Dynamite. If you get a chance to look at last week's,
did we actually make TV?
Yeah,
we did.
I saw you.
Okay, I'll have to go back and watch.
Yeah, it's like I said, when I know where you were,
what was it like throughout the whole show, or just a certain part?
Well, you got to remember, I caught the tail end, but they were doing a steady cam over top of the crowd behind you guys. And when they came in, when Tony Storm and AEW is getting a free plug on our show right now, but when Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa came out, the camera came up over top of you, up from behind you guys, and panned in so you could see the whole thing. So yeah, I just knew, and it helped.
You can't miss this big chrome dome.
And the thing is, and the pictures that you posted on Facebook, it kind of gave me a point, and I was watching it on a Canadian channel here, so I could see. So basically, I had a clue of where you guys were when I went into watching that tag match.
Nice. I'll have to definitely watch that. But yeah. Tim alluded to it. End of the month is going to be our annual draft show coverage. Just round 1.
I can't do 7 rounds.
And after the first couple rounds, I mean, it's all hit or miss. But
unless you're Brock Purdy,
then Crispin Bacon and Tim will be heading that up. Hopefully, we'll get some of our C2C family to jump in and give their thoughts on their team. Vikings pick later. The Colts, I know, are up in the top.
Colts pick 14th.
Yep. Cowboys are right in the mix there. The Bears, of course, are up in the top for mess around. Packers are kind of in the mix. So it's going to be interesting to see where people fall. It's all a gamble. Everybody thinks they know. So
they should be hosting. Be honest, they should be hosting that draft at the Oneida Casino, considering how much of a gamble and draft that really
exactly.
is.
So
I'm giving free plugs to everybody at this point.
So we got entertainment hour Friday nights.
Tell them where you're gonna be Monday.
Yep. I was good to that. Monday, me and my son have a stretch of wrestling shows we're going to start attending. Monday will be Raw. I'm not going to reveal where we're sitting at because my son likes to watch the show a little bit, so I want it to be a surprise for him. So if he sees this, he'll kind of get a little hint. You might see this Chrome Dome again on TV. And then Friday, Saturday, if you're in Minnesota, I'll be down at Rochester at a MAW event. They kind of partnered up with Nerdicon down there. So they'll have the Dudley Boys down there. It's a tribute to ECW. It's a 2-night show. So they're going to have some great matches there. So busy week of wrestling. Hopefully to recap it on Between the Ropes this past week. It was just Chris and Christy. Thanks for holding down the fort on that. Not morning tailgate on deck. Get to cover your baseball covers. Twins have officially been eliminated from the playoffs already.
And Milwaukee's there deciding to use a pitching machine as their pitching staff.
Yeah. See, and that's one thing with baseball. I don't, everybody's going to joke. It's only the first week. I get it. I'm joking. I know it's going to be a long season, but a lot of people hate on me because I don't pick my teams to win it all the time. It's just like, this is why. The White Sox get shut out, almost no hit.
Well, and the funny thing is, the other thing is like, it's early in the season, but yeah, when you're 0-4, it makes for a longer season.
Yep. Yeah, you figure you start off 0-4, and to make it up, now you have to go, 10-12 in a row to make up for your 0-4 if somebody goes 500 or so.
Well, it's nice but the thing is, it's nice that we play in the NL Central and you guys play in the AL Central, and there's crap teams in both.
Yeah, and the thing is, this time of year is always fun. I mean, baseball's starting up. College baseball is kind of winding down. You got the Little League World Series going to ramp up here shortly. You got the NCAA, which, all 4 number 1 teams made it. I think that's the first time in a few years that this has happened.
I was hoping all SEC Final Four, but
So my Final Four pick is Florida versus Duke.
Mine is Florida versus Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, they're not in it. So with that being said, check us all. I do have an interview with Coach Cody of the St. Paul Bears. He's got some news on. They finally confirmed a location for home. More about their draft. That's coming up April 15th as they get ready for their first preseason game later that month, I believe. So, or in May. But that being said, we'll see y'all next week on C2C Rankem. Have a good one.